The events that changed my life began with a scribble on a page of a book I shouldn't have been reading. On an idle Tuesday with a morning devoid of lectures, I stumbled across an inconspicuous nook in the vast corridors of Harvard's Widener Library. The thick, dusty volume simply read, HHC, 1898. My flask of bourbon, the silver one with delicate engravings from my grandfather, felt warm in my pocket. I took a sip, the familiar warmth cutting through the library's chill. Flipping through the pages, a hastily written margin note caught my eye. Beware the chamber beneath. Secrets live where light does not. My initial chuckle of disbelief soon morphed into curiosity. What chamber? Why the ominous warning? My academic instincts, albeit a bit dulled from the morning's dose of alcohol, got the better of me. I imagined some sort of secret organization of privileged kids doing rituals and acting they were doing something very important. I definitely wanted to see. This was the only interesting thing I had come up in years. With a hasty sketch of the library's blueprints, a little help from the university's public records, and my ever-present flask for courage, I embarked on a journey through the hidden bowels of Widener. Beneath the sprawling marble floors and regal bookshelves was an older, forgotten underbelly, echoes of the past still lingering. I was excited for the first time in a long time, and it was not just the liquor. My flask ran dry halfway through my search. Cursing my ill preparation, I surfaced and headed to the nearest liquor store. The chime as I entered seemed louder than necessary, and the store's cashier eyed me with a mixture of pity and annoyance. Perhaps it was the intensity in my eyes, or the way I clutched that map, but I barely noticed as I purchased a bottle of amber consolation. Back in the dim underbelly of Widener, bottles safely tucked into my backpack, flask refilled, I soon came upon a heavy wooden door. Ivy and moss had taken their claim, but beneath their embrace was a crest bearing the same initials from the book, 8HC. Drawing a deep breath and taking a fortifying gulp from my flask, I pushed it open. It groaned in protest, revealing a chamber untouched by time. In the center, atop a stone pedestal, lay a book bound in what looked like human skin, its pages yellowed and brittle. Around the room, symbols and glyphs danced wickedly on the walls, some recognizable from old Celtic and Druidic rituals. And yet, mingled among them were symbols I couldn't identify, mysterious, ominous, and chilling. These kids were really going all out with the creepy Gothic setting. It seemed less funny and way too creepy. I approached the pedestal cautiously, flask in hand. The book's title read, The True Power of Knowledge. I gingerly flipped through the pages, realizing this wasn't just a book. It was a compilation of rituals, spells, and testimonies from the founding members of Harvard's most secretive society, the Harvard Hidden Circle, HHC. I would normally disregard the book as part of some nerdy cult handbook they made, but the book looked too old and ornate like an ancient tomb. Each page detailed rituals of power, influence, and control. Dark ceremonies that promised greatness, but at what cost? Scribbled notes in the margins spoke of successes, failures, and unimaginable horrors. Could this be real? I had always believed things of this nature existed but were well-kept secrets. Like this, possibly. My heart raced, each beat echoing the weight of the chamber's secrets. Absent-mindedly, I took another sip from my flask. The alcohol seemed to sharpen the room's edges, and I felt an overwhelming urge to try one of the rituals. Madness, certainly, but perhaps it was the bourbon's influence or the allure of untapped power. I set my sights on a ritual described as the gifting of tongues. It promised the ability to persuade, to charm, to command with just one's voice. The items required were simple enough: a quill, ink made from the ash of burned letters, and a drop of one's own blood. The nearby shelves had the first two. The last was procured with a wince and the sharp edge of my flask's cap. The room seemed to darken as I began chanting the ritual's words. They felt foreign on my tongue, and the air grew heavy. I was actually doing this craziness. When I finished, a silence settled, a calm before a storm. Then a whisper, not from my lips but from the room itself, congratulated me. I thought it was one of the members that had come in and was messing with me until I looked everywhere and I was still alone. My voice, when I spoke, resonated with an eerie, mellifluous quality. The ritual had worked. There is no way to prove this empirically, but it's true. In the days that followed, I found myself unusually persuasive. My words held sway in discussions, debates, even casual conversations. But a nagging doubt persisted. Was this newfound power real, or just a figment of my imagination? A placebo effect from witnessing that secret ceremony? I decided it didn't matter. Whether real or imagined, the benefits were mine to enjoy. I went back to repeat the ceremony several more times, but stopped after I almost got caught as they arrived for their group ceremony or whatever. I was happy to stop going there and enjoy the perks of the mysterious ritual. I never told anyone this story, but now that I'm graduating, I won't have to run into any of them in case there are some hard feelings. I wonder how many successful Harvard alumni were the beneficiaries of that secret ceremony. Before starting the next story, I would like to point out that I've navigated through countless viewer submissions, but this is the first time that they have crossed over and actually known each other. I'll let Stacy explain. Here is her story. It's been over a year since I left Boston, and every fiber of my being still recoils at the thought of recounting the events that unfolded. But the weight of the secrets I bear compels me to share, if only to find some solace. This is how it all started. I've always had an insatiable curiosity, a trait that led me to major in journalism at Harvard. I began dating Jake, a history major that had gone from quiet student to the most popular person on campus in a matter of months. I never imagined the depth of the mystery that surrounded him. Jake was a functional alcoholic. I saw the hints of his struggles, an ever-present flask, a certain haze in his eyes. He seemed to excel at everything, so I didn't judge the constant drinking. Jake was an enigma, always holding a piece of himself back. But I was always up for a good puzzle. My world was full of potential stories, but nothing prepared me for the tale that lay right before me. One evening, after what seemed like one too many drinks, Jake passed out, leaving his laptop open and inviting. The journalist in me couldn't resist. Just a quick look, I justified. Jake had a draft of a story that he was going to send after he graduated in a few months. I was disappointed to see that it was going to a YouTube channel called Dark and Strange Stories. If this was real, I assume he would have chosen a legitimate news outlet. He could have chosen me. I clicked on the channel and it was a mix of allegedly true scary stories, but using journalistic instincts as well as common sense, I decided only about half of the stories were real. That was irrelevant. The story he wrote still floored me. There it was, an astonishing account of a hidden chamber beneath Harvard, of rituals, and of a secret society. The story was fantastical, but something clicked. Jake's newfound persuasive abilities, the sway he held over professors and peers, it was eerie. I decided that if there was a story here, I was going to uncover it. Equipped with a concealed camera, I followed Jake's detailed account and ventured into the labyrinth of Widener Library. The chamber was real, and to my horror, the society too. It wasn't long before the society members entered, each face shrouded in darkness. I watched, entranced by their ceremony, their voices melding in haunting harmony. I recognized a few of them as they chanted doing their crazy ritual, but then, whether it was an involuntary shift or a whispered gasp, I gave myself away. One of them pointed directly at my hiding spot, voice dripping with menace. "Intruder!" Panic surged and I ran. The heavy sound of their pursuit echoed in my ears. Darting through the library's maze, I managed to lose them in the crowd outside. In the days that followed, I received unnerving letters filled with cryptic threats. I felt watched always. One day, while studying in the library, a stranger handed me a note. Some secrets are best left untouched. These types of notes appeared almost every day, under my door or on my car. I knew then I couldn't stay. I transferred to a college across the country, leaving behind Jake, Harvard, and its lurking shadows. Even now, in the new corridors I walk, I sometimes find myself glancing over my shoulder. I learned sometimes it's best not to pull every thread you come across. Since Jake sent you his story, I decided to do the same. Though honestly, it's because I'm afraid of the creepy secret society seeing it if the story was in a legitimate publication. No offense,